Happy holidays, everyone. Recently, I had a bit of an epiphany. I've been doing things wrong. You see, I got a little too caught up in the madness. The numbers, per se. The gazillions of views that people would get simply by mentioning Indonesian propaganda amongst the masses. And I know for a second, I let my temptations win. My temptations of not only views, but also lust. But deep down, I knew that wasn't me. It was disingenuous to the people who watched my videos. And that's the one thing that I just don't like about YouTube in general. So, during the jolliest season of the year, I'm gonna return to who I once was. I'm gonna return to what brought me an infinite amount of joy. Hate. For most of my audience, you might not be aware of the fact that there's a tournament consisting of pretty much most of the Southeast Asian nations currently happening right now during the holiday season. And to those following it, trust me, I'll do a whole review of it later on when it's actually finished because this shit is the funniest tournament on the face of the earth. Anyways though, this tournament is called many things. So we're gonna keep it simple and just call it the AFF Cup. Now the AFF Cup over the years since 1996 has had many winners. Thailand are considered the kings of this region, having won the championship 7 times. Singapore has won it 4 times despite having a population less than Hong Kong. Vietnam has won it twice back in 2008 and 2010, and Malaysia won it back in 2010. Now you might be thinking, something seems a little missing. And if you were thinking of Indonesia, you'd be right, because just like Greater Indonesia, this national team has not achieved anything. Shout out milk, by the way. They have come close 6 times, however, back in 2000, 2002, 2004, 2010, 2016, and 2020. And yet, for some reason, anytime you bring up this tournament, this country starts to act a little pretentious. Oh, we're clear of this tournament. We're focusing on bigger and better, the stuff in the FIFA window. You've never won this tournament. Ever. Like, how can you have a superiority complex when there's not even a pillar of superiority you can stand on? Anyways though, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Indonesia started their 2024 AFF Cup campaign with a match against a country that has more military coups than holidays. The Garuda team was pretty underwhelming and only just escaped with a win thanks to a really odd own goal. In their next game, Indonesia did even worse by conceding against Laos in the first 9 minutes of the match. But they did manage to respond just 3 minutes later, only to concede again on kickoff because of how shambolic their defending was. Thankfully, because there's no such thing as a competent keeper in the AFF Cup, Indonesia was able to find another equalizer in the 18th minute. Then late in the second half, the Garuda team made it 3-2 off a corner. But again, the defense would just go into reboot mode in the middle of the game for some reason, and Indonesia gave up a 3rd goal to Laos. The game would end in a shocking 3-3 draw, and worst of all, Marcelino Ferdinand was suspended for the next game against Vietnam. This game was hyped up to be something special. I mean, it was Vietnam-Indonesia. This was the 4th time these teams were playing. Let's not talk about the 3 other times we played this year. But this just kind of ended up being a bit of a disappointment because all we had was just Vietnam holding onto possession, not knowing what the hell to do with it, and Indonesia just defending the entire time. That was it. There was nothing else to this game. In the end though, the Indonesian backline was eventually broken down, and just like that, the Garuda team found themselves in a must-win situation for their last group game versus Diaspora FC. And just like the previous 3 games, all Indonesia did was put up an extremely underwhelming performance both on and off the ball. They gave up a penalty early in the second half, conceded to Filipino Julian Alvarez, looked less threatening than Timor-Leste afterwards, and in the end, they lost 1-0. Which also meant, with just 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses totaling a pathetic 4 points, Indonesia had officially crashed out of the group stages for the first time since 2018. And once again, Indonesia has failed to win the AFF Cup. But come on, like, there's probably some more to this, right? I'm probably leaving out a lot of stuff. I'm getting to it. Wait a fucking second. Why did a team like Indonesia, who just came off beating Saudi Arabia in World Cup qualifiers, just crash out of a group consisting of countries still recovering from Henry Kissinger's bombing campaigns? Well, remember when I said that this country tends to think they're better than the AFF Cup? Well, there was no exception here. And honestly, I'd say the pretentiousness this time around was more egregious than it had ever been. Because going into this tournament, Indonesia called up a group of extremely inexperienced youngsters. Not even the core from the team that finished 4th in the U23 2023 Asian Cup. This was like a level below that. The idea here was that Indonesia didn't want to take many risks before the World Cup qualifiers resumed in March. You know, injuries, all that kind of stuff. Which, me personally, from watching my own team play, I think it's a bit of a pathetic excuse, because when we were in the third round of qualifiers, we brought our full strength squad to the AFF Cup beforehand. Also, outside of the whole Myanmar incident, which, you know, we'll get to that in the review, I don't want to hear a single thing from Indonesian fans about how Southeast Asian football is dirty. We all watched the tournament, man. We saw Marcelino Ferdinand get a red card. We saw Muhammad Fiat elbow someone in the middle of the game. We've also seen the qualifier games. You think we haven't seen those? And I haven't forgotten January, when there was the 24 fouls in that Vietnam-Indonesia game. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? Southeast Asian football is a little rough around the edges. I don't think anyone's gonna deny that. But this excuse is getting really fucking annoying. All I'm saying here is that Southeast Asian football is nowhere near some of these other levels, okay? These fuckers wouldn't survive in CONCACAF for a whole day with these excuses. One thing also, it doesn't really make any sense to me why you would prioritize the qualifiers and still call up Marcelino and Rafael Strauch, both of which have played key roles in the World Cup qualifiers of the third round so far. I think Strauch just scored against Bahrain, Marcelino just scored 2 goals against Saudi Arabia. Also, I do think it's a little alarming that outside this cream of the crop core that is the naturalized players, this is the quality Indonesia has? Like, just to take a note out of the Take the Piss Out of India notebook, you got a population of 277 million, and outside the naturalized, this is what you got? I get they're young, okay, but they can't even beat the match-fixing merchants. It's laughable. And going into the fan part about how, oh, we don't care about this tournament, we're better than this tournament, we're focusing on the World Cup qualifiers. Whatever you do, do not check the replies of any of the Filipino or Filipina footballers' Instagrams. Maybe it's just me, but when I don't care about something, I usually don't threaten to rape someone's sister-in-law. I will say one thing as well. If Indonesia had actually called up their main squad, that attitude of, oh, we don't care, would disappear in a fucking millisecond. Going back to the cope, though, of the World Cup qualifiers and even the Asian Cup, yes, they will throw the Asian Cup at countries like Singapore, because while they're facing up against the likes of Saudi Arabia can beat them, they still have the small country mentality, that of fucking Malaysia and East Timor. But let's just calm down for a second. Let's actually just like evaluate all these different arguments, shall we? So, the Asian Cup. Okay, so you made it to the last 16 this year. Congratulations, you know, that's a big feat. You know who else has done that though? Vietnam and also Thailand. You're not fucking special. And this whole thing about World Cup qualifiers, you know who's also been in the third round of World Cup qualifiers? The same 2 countries that I just mentioned about the Asian Cup. Oh, we here in Indonesia have blinded ourselves with so much delusion that we actually believe we can qualify for the World Cup. I mean, there's literally no such thing as being humble in this entire country when it comes to football. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being cocky, but if you're losing to China and can't even beat Bahrain, it's all just delusion, which to be honest, should be the motto of this fan base. I genuinely can't wait for the day the realization hits that all of Indonesia hears it. Oh, it's gonna be music to my ears. Indonesia eliminated from World Cup qualifiers, because I can promise you this, it's gonna happen, it's gonna be beautiful, everyone is going to fucking bathe in your tears. I won't have to shower for the next 5 years because your tears are that fucking pure. I know there's also gonna be those people that are going to throw in the Southeast Asian Games, yes, the Rice Balkan Olympics, and to that, I will once again say, you ain't fucking special. Myanmar has won more medals than you. Oh, where's your FIFA World Cup trophy? Put that on the table. Congratulations, you won the Virgin World Cup. I don't give a shit. And guys, here's a lesson on actually how to not give a shit. All right, watch me, all right? I know this is kind of hard, but just look at me closely, okay? See, look at me, okay? All right? My team loses. We move. Listen, okay, I do need to say this because just like any group of people, any kind of fan base of any sort, it is not all of them. It is never all of them. And I'm not even really directing this towards the normal fans. Like, yeah, I'm probably gonna get a bunch of shit in the comments, and if Vietnam lose to Singapore today, it's not gonna be fun, but it's whatever, right? It's just banter, it's casual, it's fine. This is mostly directed towards the deranged fuckwits who probably don't even understand what I'm saying. So let me translate it for you, you basement-dwelling fucking cunts. Anak bangsat gob. To kind of end this on a more level-headed approach, Indonesian fans, not all of them, a good amount of them though, are very delusional. That's the one thing I need to spread to the entire world. The entire English-speaking footballing world. To honestly, the entire world. There's people that don't even watch football that watch my content. Actually, now that I think of it, I can still say this because they still haven't won the AFF Cup. They're the Dallas Cowboys fans of the footballing world. By the way, just wanted to mention, the background is different. Again, I know, I had to make another makeshift setup again. It's because I'm moving. Again, this isn't actually the place. I'm just staying at my friend's because right now I can't really move in until a few days later, actually until after New Year's, so I'm just here for now. So any of the videos that come out in the next few days are probably gonna be in this setup. But I sure can't wait to read the comments tomorrow. I'm sure they're gonna fill me with great joy during Boxing Day. Or hopefully, if I can get this out on Boxing Day. I really hope I can. But of course, a massive shout out to all our members, including Janusz Balas, Chupas, Brazilian Fury, Respected Jeff, Othman JN, Habakkuk, Jeremiah Owusu Ajimang, Django, Sexy Asian Diddler, Anazir Makalankam, Alex Rod, Ulta, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Slider Kid, Snifrix, Taco Okafan, The Cypriot 35, Not Windows 95 Man, Kentra Agatra, Big Boris, The Baby Eater II, Kerbo, Unkwell, St. Terrence, Sylvia Citrus, Ryan Jans, Wise Orange, Rashford Enthusiast, Cocosaurus Rex, LeJames Braun, Samu, Just MRC, Cheesebait, Cooper Rory, The Somali Pirate, Claymore Roomba, Winder Gel, M4 Does Stuff, Finn Likes Rugby More, Davox, The Portugeiser, TPSK25, Polar Protos, Van Fan, Lucian Von Croix, Ethan Bennett Loves Kavicha, Gazegos Bresciakiewicz, Manotengo Fay, Adrian, A Ghostly Owl, Coney Wolves, Mud Tanai, Nava, Sketchy Card, KM89, Apollo, Kevin Mojica, Chris Visconsi, Dominic Griffin, Kyler Kress, Mohammed Al-Tanib, Nish, Patrick Barley, Rashford God 5, Raspberry Ale, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like. I'll probably be posting more on my Instagram in terms of like reels, just like clips and stuff like that. So yeah, give it a follow. That's like the big thing I'm probably gonna do for New Year's. Especially since the rent's gonna be a lot fucking higher for the next place I live. But anyways, also follow my Twitch because I think I'll be doing more streams now that I actually have my own place, or will have my own place. But until then, I'll see you guys.